Hi, my name is Katerina and I'm a part of the Stiltsov team. We are happy to introduce our new training course, Advanced Permission and Security Management in Confluence. Our course covers all the main issues related to permission and security management in Confluence and provides an opportunity to try out everything in practice. Our course will be useful for novice Confluence administrators and for power users who want to become administrators themselves. For further convenience, our course is divided into 6 lessons. Each lesson consists of a video tutorial and a list of practical tasks. Every student will be provided with a personal Confluence Server and Crowd lab environment. And we will give proper feedback to you, as well as some useful tips. Note that in addition to a thorough study of permission and security management in Confluence, our course covers the most useful and reliable apps from such Atlassian vendors as Kamala Tech, Service Rocket, and the Plugin People. At the end of our course, we suggest you take a final test. It will help you to structure and summarize all the key points. So good luck to you and enjoy your study with Stiltsoft.
Confluence is a great tool for team collaboration. It helps you to organize your work all in one place, keeping track of your team projects, discussions, decisions. Each member of your team is a Confluence user with a certain set of permissions. So in companies that use Confluence, onboarding for new employees starts from becoming a Confluence user. Let's say your company has just hired a new manager to carry out your marketing strategy. Of course, you need to add this person to your Confluence by creating a new user. Usually, every member of your team belongs to one or several groups in Confluence, depending on their role in your company. For example, you can create a new group called Marketing Department and add the new user there together with other colleagues from this department. At the same time, you can add the new user to the group created for the current marketing project. This group can include employees from other departments working on the same project. You can also create groups for temporary use, for example, for employees on probation. When you have no new hires in your company, this group can be empty or you can delete it. This way, Confluence allows you to move users from one group to another depending on your current tasks and easily manage permissions and restrictions for your content. By default, Confluence stores user and group information in the internal directory. However, you can adjust the settings to your needs and connect your Confluence application to external directories, LDAP, Jira, or Crowd. It can be useful if you want to grant access to the users and groups that are stored in your enterprise directory. So it is handy when you use several Atlassian products or use existing Active Directory service from Microsoft or LDAP directory from some other vendor. This allows you to use existing users and groups from your corporate directory and to manage them in one place. We will discuss directories in more detail a bit later. So let's log into Confluence and explore its administration console. The dashboard is the first thing you see once you log into Confluence. It is the main page of your Confluence site. Here you can check activity of your colleagues and receive the updates of the pages and spaces you have access to. You can easily navigate to the pages you have recently worked on or visited. In the upper corner of the screen, you have a quick access to your personal profile. To open the Confluence Administration Console, click the cogwheel icon on the menu and choose either General Configuration or User Management. This field is the Search dialog. Alternatively, you can quickly open it with the help of the double G shortcut. It's a useful way either to search for any content or open tabs in the Administration Console. So we type General Configuration and the matching section appears. When you attempt to open the Administration Console, even if you are logged into Confluence at the moment, you are prompted to enter your password. This way, Confluence starts a temporary secure administration session to protect access to any administrative functions. This enhances security because you will be asked to enter your password every time you want to open the administration console. This session has a rolling timeout, 10 minutes by default, so you can still use Confluence as a regular user. For example, open and edit documents, and get back to the administrative functions with no need to enter your password again during this period of time. It can be very useful, but you need to remember that if you leave your PC unattended with a temporary session on, anyone can access your site and perform any changes. So we recommend you to drop access if you no longer need it. We will show you how to configure secure administrator sessions a bit later. Now let's try to create a new user so you can get familiar with the first steps in Confluence administration. For that purpose, we need to return to the administration console. We can do it in 3 different ways. Click the cogwheel, choose General Configuration, and click the Users tab on the left. Click the cogwheel and choose User Management. And the fastest one is to use the G&G combination we already talked about and enter Users. You can use this way both from the administration console and from any Confluence page. So we are in the User Management section. You can see the list of users here. To create a new one, click Add Users and enter the required information properly: full name, username, email address. You can either enter a password by yourself or send an email to the user that will allow him or her to set up the password. After that, you can associate the user with specific groups. You can choose several groups depending on the job function of this user. Now we have one more user in Confluence. Don't forget that the number of registered users allowed on your Confluence site may be limited, depending on your license type. Users who can log into Confluence will count towards the license. We recommend you to track the amount of your active users to be up to date, because you will not be able to create a new user when you exceed the number of licensed users. Let's use the G&G shortcut and enter license details. We can see that our license counts only 10 users, and at the moment we have 8 active users. Now we will show you other ways to create new users in Confluence depending on the situation. We have already used the Add Users tab. Let's click Invite Users and see what options we have here. For example, you can provide users with the invitation link. Let's open a new window and paste this link. The invited users can enter all the required information by themselves and sign up. Remember that you can reset this link anytime. This will stop people from signing up via the previously sent link. At the same time, you can restore the previous URL if needed. You can also send this link to your colleagues by entering their email addresses. This is how the invitation letter looks like. The invited user just needs to click Sign up now. Confluence offers different sign-up options. For example, you can choose the sign-up with no restrictions. In this case, anybody will be able to create their own account with the invite link, and you won't be able to reset it. It will be always active. So we recommend you to restrict the sign-up by domain, when only people with emails within the specified range of domain or domains will be able to create their own account. To see how it works, let's try to register using example.com instead of mycompany.com. Okay, now we know everything about how to create new users. Let's see what other user management options are available in Confluence. When one of your colleagues is no longer working in your company, you need to deactivate this account. You can either temporarily disable this account or delete it from Confluence. For example, your boss asked you to delete the account of Jack Black because he has been fired. You need to open the profile of Jack and delete this user. In earlier versions of Confluence, up to 6.12, you can easily do it only if the user hasn't created any content, new pages, blog posts, edits, or comments. Otherwise, you can simply disable his account. But from the version 6.13, you have an option to delete users with any type of content created. The information associated with them will be anonymized. So, when user accounts are deleted, your Confluence will delete their personal information, profile details, replace their profile pictures, replace their usernames with user keys, replace their full names with aliases, reindex any content they have contributed to or been mentioned on, so their names don't appear in search results. The boss also asked you to temporarily disable Erin Lee's account, because she is currently on maternity leave. So let's open Erin's profile and disable her account. Erin is still in the list of your Confluence users. However, she is no longer counted against your license in Confluence till her account is disabled. You know that she will return soon, but may choose to use her husband's surname, which is Roberts. In this case, you can easily enable this user and edit all the details, including her username. In previous Confluence versions, up to 5.3, the username change feature was unavailable. So we already know that the Confluence administrator can view the list of users in the User Management section. Other Confluence users can find a list of people who use Confluence and a list of people with personal spaces in the People Directory section. For that purpose, point to the People tab on the menu. The administrator can invite other users right from People Directory, clicking the Invite button that redirects us to the Administration console. At the moment, you can hide the People Directory by setting the certain system properties on your application server command line. For more details, you can check Atlassian documentation or just Google Confluence Disable People Directory. Unlike the list of active users, the list of Confluence groups is available only from the Administration console. So let's use the GNG shortcut and enter Groups. Grouping users in Confluence helps the Confluence administrator to quickly manage permissions and restrictions for certain groups of users. As we have already mentioned, you can create groups for different purposes. Group people working in the same department. Group people working on the same project. Group people with the same position in your company, for example, management team. Group freelancers to separate them from corporate employees. Group new employees who are currently on probation. In this section of Administration Console, you can add and delete users. Here you can see the list of all groups. Open the required group and either add user or delete the one from the list. The same actions can be performed in User Management section. Choose the user, for example John Smith. Click Edit Groups and select or deselect the groups. So let's create a new group for users on probation. Click Add Group, enter the name of the group, in our case it's probation, and save the changes. If you no longer need the group called probation, delete it from the list of the existing groups. By default, all new users become members of Confluence Users Group. So permissions assigned to this group will be applied to all newly created users. However, Confluence administrators can set up and edit groups in any way they need it. So, who are the Confluence administrators? This is a default group of super users who can access the administration console and have site-wide administration powers. Note that you can delete these groups and create your own default groups to manage permissions in Confluence. So let's see How to define what users can do in Confluence. For that purpose, open the Global Permissions tab. It is located in the section Users and Security, or you can again use the GNG combination and type Global Permissions. Here you can grant permissions to groups, individual users, and anonymous users. Based on user roles, you can grant permissions to create personal spaces or add spaces to the site. You can always edit global permissions. Just click Edit Permissions. Here you can also make your Confluence public by selecting the Can Use box. Note that if you enable anonymous access in global permissions, anonymous users won't be able to see anything until you configure the settings of your spaces and pages. It can be useful when you want to share your content with everybody, so that even people without Confluence account will be able to access your Confluence site. Note that anonymous users are not included in your license count. In this case, you can configure Confluence to prevent automated spam submissions by asking users to prove that they are humans before they are allowed to perform any actions, like leaving comments, editing pages, and etc. Later, we will show you how you can protect your site from spam attacks with the enabled anonymous access. Confluence recognizes two types of administrator: System Administrator and Confluence Administrator. System Administrator can perform all the Confluence administrative functions, including the ones which the Confluence Administrator permission does not allow. For example, Confluence Administrator is disallowed from operations that may compromise system security, meaning that System Administrator has the complete control of all administrative functions. Confluence Administrator can manage users and groups. However, Confluence Administrator is not able to grant anybody the System Administrator permission. The Confluence Administrators group defines a set of users with their administrative privileges who can access the administration console and perform site-wide administration. It is a default group with both System Administrator and Confluence Administrator permissions that you can't change in the administration console. Now let's check how it works. At the moment, the user called admin is a member of Confluence Administrators group with both System Administrator and Confluence Administrator permissions. Let's log out and see how Confluence Administrator manages permissions. John Smith is a member of the admins group. Click Edit Permissions and try to choose the System Administrator permissions for either groups or users. This feature is disabled. As you can see, Confluence Administrator is not able to grant System Administrator permissions to anybody. At the end of our lesson, let's sum up all the new information. Confluence is a great tool for team collaboration. It helps you to organize your company's work all in one place. You can add new users manually or invite them. There are two types of administrators in Confluence: System Administrator and Confluence Administrator. System Administrator has the complete control of all administrative functions. Confluence Administrator is not allowed to perform operations that may compromise system security.